Hi, welcome to Mouse Ears and Mommy Tears, the podcast where we balance parenthood in the world of Disney. We're your hosts, Natalie.
Jen.
And Nicole.
Each week, we will discuss topics about being former Disney kids turned Disney adults to now Disney moms. Stay with us while we unravel this hot mess express.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy Friday.
How's everyone? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I feel like this was like the longest week ever. I'm not gonna lie.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I felt like every single day was like, I just kept looking at the clock at work and only 5 minutes passed every single day.
I feel like I have the worst news out of all of us. Nathan's officially on summer break.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
soon.
yesterday was his last day of kindergarten, and now he was zooming into first grade.
Oh my
So I thought it was hilarious, honestly. The second the doors opened, all these kindergartners were like hysterically crying. And me and Dan are like, did they just beat them? Like, what happened? Like, the doors opened from an exit, and you just see all these kids like, what the hell? They're all crying because they didn't want school to be over. And then like Dan's like $10 says Nathan's not crying. Nathan comes out, he's like, I told them we're coming back to the same building next year. And I'm like, see, that's my kid. That's
He gets it.
wasn't I crying at all? He's like, I don't understand why.
That's going to be Zach on the last
been,
day.
yeah, it's been day one.
When does camp start?
First week of June is his first camp, and that one is part-time, 2 days a week, and it's going to be full-time for 2 days a week. So then he'll have 3 days where he does nothing. But for 2 days, he'll have something to do at least. It'll be Friday. So, camp is expensive, guys.
It's so expensive. We're just doing rec camp, and it's like, it was way more expensive than we imagined.
We're just
I'm like,
doing
what is
daycare again
through the
because
town?
it's cheaper.
You're doing daycare?
It's
Yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah.
And it's a
No,
longer
I'm sure
day.
it is. Yeah.
So,
And we did that last year. Before he went into kindergarten,
this
we
is the
did the
last
same
year we
thing.
can do
Yeah,
Right.
so did
Yeah. And it's a lot. It's so much.
and these kids have to keep going. They need to be like stimulated. They can't just sit at home all day as much as they want to, and as much as it would be easier for us and cheaper for us if they could sit at home all day.
I don't
I
care
get
Work,
about
it.
it's
the
not
cheaper.
feasible. Like,
I don't even care about the cheaper guys. Like that, it's been one day, and I'm like, you got to get the heck out of my face right now. Like, I can't take this. It's
Yeah.
right. It's been that kind of week, and it's going to be that kind of summer. And I should be drinking, but I'm saving all my calories for Disney right now.
We're so close. We're so close to going.
single digits. We are so close.
I know. I need it so bad.
Next week we'll be coming to you live from Walt Disney World. I know, it's gonna be fun.
Speaking of wonderful things that we love about Disney, I thought with the amount of times in the first episode, from the second we opened our mouth as members of Mouse Ears, Mommy Tears, all we ever talk about is Disney Vacation Club, how we are Disney Vacation Club members. So I thought that we should talk about Disney Vacation Club, aka DVC, and why we became members and what makes us love it and all things DVC. And if we can't wrap it up in one episode, we're going to have a nice little part 2 and probably a part 3, and we'll just wrap it up and then leave you guys alone for a little bit, because we talk about Disney Vacation Club as if everybody knows what it is. But the truth of the matter is not everybody knows what it is. So what do you guys think? Let's talk about it.
It's our own lingo. We love DVC.
And we do talk about it, that, like, everybody knows what it is. And when people don't really realize the benefits of being a DVC member either.
I know. I swear, every time I tell somebody I'm going to Disney again, they're like, isn't that so expensive? I'm like, no, I'm a Disney Vacation Club member. They're like, but isn't that so expensive? I'm like, no. You just got to make it work.
Sounds like it would be so expensive, right? Yeah. I know, especially for the people that I hang around with. I hope they're watching, because I want them to see that I am not a pretentious rich person who goes to Disney so much. I want him to see why I go to Disney so much and what goes into becoming a DVC member, Disney Vacation Club, because I know both of you. You guys aren't Daddy Warbucks, okay? We're all in the same boat. There's a reason why we got it. So join us, put your seatbelts on. We're gonna talk about it. I want to say I'd start first, but you know what? I'm gonna switch it up. I think we should start with who bought into Disney Vacation Club first. So, Jennifer, come on down.
So, yeah, we bought into it in 2016, Chuck and I, but I was a Disney Vacation Club member. Well, I wasn't. My parents were when I was kids. I knew what the Vacation Club was, and I have only ever gone to Disney as a Disney Vacation Club member as a child. So we started going, I think my parents said that we bought in 96. I think it started in 94 or something like that. We owned at Oki West, Boardwalk, and Wilderness Lodge when I was a kid, but I have never stayed at the Wilderness Lodge. Our home base was always Boardwalk, so that's where all my memories are from when I was a kid. And I remember staying in the one bedroom and going with my family, and my cousins would come. But that's why I wanted to do DVC again, because I had grew up with it, and that's where I kind of got my love of Disney. And we would stay for weeks at a time and go multiple times a year, and it's just always was a good memory for me. And then when Chuck and I started dating, I pretty much told him flat out that if you're going to be with me long term, you need to like Disney. And if you don't like Disney, you're going to just go anyway. Like, this is your life. Like, our children will be raised going to Disney. So we
Never
were
stood a chance, our poor husbands. They never stood a chance.
None of them.
So it was pretty much in the disclosure that we were going to become Disney Vacation Club members. And I like to say I eased him into it, but I had hidden
You
motives.
tricked him into it. Use the correct words when speaking about.
So our first trip to Disney together was senior trip. So we stayed at All Stars, and it was like a class trip. And then every trip after that, we would go like every 2 years, because we were college students that were broke. And we stayed at the beach club. And then the next time we went, he was like, let's stay longer and stay at a value. So I humored him, and I was like, okay, let's see what that's like. So we went to Pop Century, and he hated it like so much. He's like, I'm just not a value person. I'm like, so you want a deluxe? So if you want a deluxe, we should buy the Vacation Club. So we would always do those tours. Do you remember those tours where you like go to like the little kiosk and they're like, hey, do you want to go on a tour? And they bring you to like Saratoga or the boardwalk or wherever they have the.
They used to give you fast passes if you did
Yes.
it.
So every
Yeah.
time before we bought in, every time we went, we would just go to the thing because we would get a free fast pass. And I knew we were going to buy in. So really my hidden motive with it was that they would talk him into it, because they talk finances and, oh, well, this many points will get you this many vacations, and you can stay here and you can go there and you can do Adventures by Disney. Although I can never afford the points needed for an Adventures by Disney. But that's kind of where I slowly started leaving my bunny trail. So then in 2015, we got engaged, and we were talking about if we wanted to get married there, if we wanted to honeymoon there. And then in 2016, we were just visiting family. We are just down there visiting his grandparents, and we stopped by Disney and we went to the Poly. We were eating, we went to the little kiosk, and we're like, we want to buy in. So we just literally bought in, well, randomly. I didn't get fast passes because we didn't have tickets. We weren't annual pass holders at the time. Like, I got no incentive when I was there.
How big was their smile from ear to ear when you're like, sell me DVC? They're like, oh my God, finally, someone
Yeah.
who walked in.
I swear we probably, like, I already look so much younger than I am. And I swear we probably look like two high school students. They were like, do you really want to buy in? It's like, we've done the math. We figured it out. We're going to be coming for the rest of our lives. We want to take our children here. And we just figured out financially that it makes more sense. And when you go to these previews, they tell you it pays for itself in 6 visits. It's already paid for itself. Like, we bought into Polynesian. We bought 75 points at Poly, which was not even like when we bought in, you had to buy 50 points. That was the minimum. But we did 75. We got a couple of incentives with it that were like promotions at the time. And we bought into Poly, which was the newest one at the time when we bought in. And so we're direct. So we do have a direct contract. And we talked about it a lot, and it pays for itself. And you get a lot of incentives being a DVC member too, with like annual passes. So that's why we bought in. And then I convinced him over the summer, or I guess it was last winter, that we needed more because we have 3 children now. So now we also earn a boardwalk resale. So I own a direct and a resale contract. And I think that, and then I talked to you. So I took you on my first DVC trip. We went on New Year's Eve, and it was probably the best trip ever still, before kids.
Club China.
Club
China
China.
forever and always.
Literally the greatest trip ever was that New Year's Eve trip. And we stayed on that was our first points one. We went to Animal Kingdom, and then we stayed at Old Key West, and then we convinced you guys to buy it. So,
Yes, you did. And I will take it over from here.
Yes.
I will take it over from here. So as Jen mentioned, she got us in this mess per se, but I will bring it all the way back. As a kid, I only went to Disney a couple of times, and it was one of those things where my dad would make us spend 6 hours at a cheesy timeshare presentation where they would literally berate you. My dad would be like, cool, give us those free tickets. I remember those being the timeshare that you don't want to do, or, it's like you go there, you listen to a sleazy sales pitch, you get your tickets, and you leave. That's what I know about timeshares. So when I knew that I wanted to go to Disney all the time, because as soon as I was able to finance my own trips when I was 17 is the first time I went on my own, and I paid for it with my own money, working at a Mandy's. If you know, East Coast, okay?
Oh my God, Mandy's.
Oh man, I miss that store.
Yes. I worked at a Mandy's. I saved all my money, and I went at 17, and I took my boyfriend at the time, and we stayed at Pop Century, and I was like, forever and always, I am going to go. As long as I can finance my own trips, I am going to go. I never knew that Disney had their own version of it. Then meeting my good friend Jen over here, telling me that she had that growing up, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. When you were telling me about it, and when we went on our first trip on your points and you guys were breaking it down, do you remember Dan's face? He's like, oh, you guys are crazy. Like, I would never do that. And then my little devil ears went up, and I'm like, yes, you will. Give it time. Right? We went on that trip, hashtag Club China, New Year's of 2017.
Yeah, it was going into 2017.
Yes, because I got pregnant that June
Yep.
of 20 and bought me our first DVC contract direct as my push gift for having Nathan. I learned from the best because I made sure to like trickle it in whenever I could. I'm like, oh, now would be a great time to buy in. But then now I needed to learn everything there was to learn about it. So I was doing research on the side and then going to Jen with the findings that I had. So when I went in to go buy at the time, they were now selling Copper Creek. And when I called, they're like, yes, it's 150 points. It's going to cost you $32,000. I'm like, you have a very lovely day, sir. And then I hung up the phone. Like, I do not have that. Then I called Jen and I was like, oh, I didn't know that you have $32,000. You're like, I don't. So that she was telling me how to do it. And she said, you do not have to buy 150 points. You have to buy the minimum amount of points. And for Jen, the minimum was 50. By the time I bought in, the minimum was 75, which was fine because I was planning on buying 75 because Jen was helping me break down how much points I would need. In my head, I'm like, this is perfect for every other year because, as you guys know, once you get the points, Nicole, I know you understand as the newbie of our DVC group. How many trips you got planned this year? Just real quick.
Pretty sure you're going on like 4 trips? 4 trips.
Yeah,
4.
Four.
You are.
Yeah.
You make the points work.
You're right. You end up making the points work, like, and making it happen. But originally we were like, okay, 75 points
Make it
every other
stretch.
year. And you just stretch that baby, you stretch that baby out. And I didn't care where I bought in.
Yeah.
I know that for you guys, you didn't care about Polly because you
I've
never even
never
stayed there.
stayed there. I have never been there because it's so expensive to stay there, and we go for the value stays. So I'd rather spend less and go more frequently.
Right.
Right.
And they gave you a bunch of incentives
Yeah.
to make your Polly points worth it. Right.
Yeah. We got an
So with
extra year.
me, they were so hot on the Copper Creek. They were trying to get everybody in it. I got the same incentive that Jen did, that they gave me a year of points on top.
Yeah.
So when doing the whole points and what is the cheapest contract for the amount of points, I calculating it. If I could get an old Key West contract, I would just take that. I stayed there for a day with Jen and Chuck on New Year's, and it was fine. And
Yeah.
it was really nice, and the studios were huge. And I
They
was like,
are.
I don't care, I'll totally stay there. Oki West was the very first
Yeah.
the DVC resort. They didn't think it was going to take off the way it was. So Oki West was supposed to be the DVC resort.
Yeah.
And then all these other hotels followed, right? And continue to
Yeah.
follow. Because of that, it is it's one of the contracts that were to end sooner, and then they extended it. Even though a lot of people did not buy into the extension originally, they did extend it so that it can like last longer. If you already had it,
Yeah.
they offered that.
So, for the
I
folks
think
that don't know,
2040.
with DVC,
Yeah.
when you buy it, whenever that hotel becomes a Disney Vacation Club hotel, it's good for 50 years your contract. So if you buy it as soon as it starts, you get it for 50 years. But if you buy it 25 years into it, you only have it for 25 years. So we bought into Polynesian when it first started, so we have that contract. I think we have it for the full 50 years. I think it goes till, I don't know, I don't even remember. But the next one was Boardwalk that we bought, and that has the same contract end date as Old Key West. It wasn't built at the same time, but it was one of the second hotels that came around. But when Old Key West was made, it was supposed to be just DVC. Anyone can stay there now, whether you have points or you don't have points, but that's what it was for. So when you're looking at booking, what we're talking about with points, every hotel has different point values. The older hotels like Old Key West and Boardwalk, pretty much you can get by with the cheapest is 9 points a night. Whereas at Polynesian, because it's a newer one, it starts at like 18 points a night. So you can see how that can cost more depending on when you go. There's different seasons. There's the value season, and then like everything gets more as you get towards the holidays, Christmas and New Year's. That's when things are going to be at the highest point value. You want to play with when you're going to go. And then there's the studio, then there's the 1 bedroom, the 2 bedroom, and some of them even have a 3 bedroom grand villa. Obviously those cost more, but if you plan it out enough, you can make your points work for you. And then when we're talking about banking and borrowing, you have your set use year. So every year when you buy your contract, you get those points. So every December I get 75 points from the Polynesian, and if I don't use some of those points, I can bank them and use them next year. Or if I know I'm going to use a lot of points, I can borrow them from the next year, and I can have a longer stay this year if I'm going to go with family. Like I borrowed points so that we can stay in a 2 bedroom at the beach club with my family this year. So just a little bit about what it is kind of a thing, because it can get
Yeah.
very confusing if you don't know what DVC is, but that's what makes it different from other timeshares. You're not buying into a certain week. You can go whenever you want, and you use the calendar. So I own at Polynesian. I can book at the Polynesian 11 months out. But if I wanted to stay at the Boardwalk before I bought into the Boardwalk, you can only book at 7 months out. So that makes a difference also, because then you're more likely that those rooms are going to be sold out. Sometimes you can waitlist it and sometimes it'll come through. I've had it come through multiple times, but you never know. It's kind of a risk.
When I was looking into the amount of points I wanted, we were really big on like what can we afford? We want to make sure that we're not overextending ourselves, and what do we really need? So I asked a lovely woman, I forgot her name, like
Her name either.
if it's even possible to buy into Old Key West if it's already so old. And she was like, you can, we can buy it back from somebody who's selling it, and then we can sell it to you. So she was like, do you any other hotels in mind? I was calculating by the amount of points and what it would cost to own 75 points from that hotel. So it was Old Key West was the cheapest, followed by Animal Kingdom. I said I will take whatever she's able to buy back first, because it wasn't like with Jen, she walked to the Poly, she says, sell me this,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, sure, no problem. But when you want to buy a hotel that they no longer sell, you're pretty much waitlisted. They're going to go on the market and they're going to find someone who wants to sell it. They said it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be 5 months. It's just a matter of the amount of points you want and the hotels that are coming their way. I got a call 2 weeks after I talked to her about it. So Animal Kingdom came first. And I had 48 hours to accept it, because then it goes to the next person who may have wanted it. So we're calculating it. It would have made our payments, I think, $80 more, back and forth. And Dan's like, for the love of God, just pick. I don't care. I will pay $500 for you to stop asking me, pretty much is what he was doing. But I was like, no, you know what? It doesn't matter where we stay. I can always do 7 month window. I can wait list. It's not a big deal. I'm going to wait for Old Key West. And then 3 days later, an Old Key West one came through. So that's what I bought and how I bought. Why I bought was literally that boy that I had. Having Nathan, and Dan agreed, we're both kids who never went anywhere. Unlike Jen, we never vacationed.
Yeah.
That was that kind of family. And we went nowhere literally ever, because there were 5 of us. And to my mom's, benefit, who wants to travel with 5 kids by themselves? I can't blame her,
I'm afraid
right?
to do it with 3.
No, I know. So I said, I don't want it to be that way. I want to make sure that our kids have memories and they have good times. And if it's not every year, that's fine. But I want them to remember when they had their family vacations, like what a great time it was.
Yeah.
So we both agreed, like, let's do this so that our family can have vacations. And being that we moved,
Yeah.
it was going to be one of those spots to meet at. Hey, instead of always having to go back to Jersey, how would you guys like to come to Disney with us? Like Jen said, the importance of going with family and a big group and being able to do that. So that's why we bought. But then we bought again this year when I had my third baby, because like Jen, I too trickled it in. I think I was trying to trickle it in
The one
probably around the
bedroom.
same time. Yes, yes. Around the same time, if not before you closed on your contract, I was pushing hard for it. But Dave was like, "We're almost done paying off our first one. I'd like it a little bit farther down." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." And then pretty much without asking, I started soliciting my friend Nicole, who's going to tell her story soon, about how resale works, and then Jen buying into resale. And I just pretty much called. And I was unaware that you can make offers with resale.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like,
That's the
yeah.
fun
I was
part of
like,
it.
and I said, I'd like at least 150 points, at least over 100 points, because the 75 was getting too tight. So at least 100 points to be able to stay at one bedroom. Doesn't have to be all the time, but some of the time, because I'd like to be comfortable. And
Yeah.
then Dan was like, I literally don't want to do this ever again. So can you just buy the amount of points you actually need and never ask me about this crap again?
Yep. It's important.
So
Well, the one bedrooms is what
yeah,
sold Chuck on it. He was like, "Oh yeah, then we can have our own room, and the kids can just stay in the living room. Oh, and there's a full kitchen. Oh, so we can like make breakfast and avoid paying for meals." I was like, "Yeah, sure."
the balcony that goes from the living room to the bedroom is what sold Dan. He's like, wait a minute. So while the kids are sleeping, we can still go to the balcony
Yeah.
and they won't hear us? I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Isn't
It's
that
like
so
having your
nice?
own vacation without the kids. And there's a nice tub and there's a washer and dryer. Like I grew up staying in one
Hmm.
bedroom, so I thought that's what hotel rooms were because I was a spoiled child apparently. But um I it cost them so much less when they bought it in the 90s than what I paid for it.
Yeah.
But the one bedrooms really make a difference when you have a family and small children and you just want to get away for a little bit, aka into your
Yeah.
own bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, and I haven't stayed at one yet. I'll let you know how that goes when I stay at it for the first time this year.
Yeah, we are
But
too. Few weeks and
and
then I'll be in one.
there's that's right. You'll have to tell us about it.
Yeah.
Did I stay in one bedroom before both of you?
I stood in them when I was a kid, but I haven't stayed in one since I bought them.
Oh man.
You win.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Well,
crazy.
you had more points going into it than we did. Before I bought my second contract, you had more points.
I did, but I bought
You
resale.
bought
So
retail.
that was the whole
Wait,
thing.
you stayed in a one bedroom, Nicole?
Yeah. My couples trip.
Yeah, she got upgraded.
Remember? They upgraded
That's
us.
right. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's right. I was gonna say, it was like you didn't originally book that. I remember that. That's so funny.
No,
You're right.
no.
Okay,
I
I'm gonna wrap it up because Nicole's gotta go and tell everybody that story. But I will wrap it up by saying I found a really good old Key West contract, and it was gonna cost us so much less than buying direct, almost double the points, if
Yep.
not more, and it was gonna cost less. And I thought he was gonna be like, "Go ahead, go for it," and he was like, "No." And he said, because I don't want you to annoy me later that you want another hotel. So just do me a favor and pick the hotel that you want and then don't bother me anymore. So I said, okay. And they said Grand Floridian or Boardwalk. And those were the two that I was after, even though, I mean, if Dan's not listening to this, that'd be great. I'd like to buy another Old Key West contract because the points are so low
Yeah.
on the resale market that I'm like, if I just want more points,
Yeah.
it's such a great contract to own. I made an offer. I didn't think it was gonna work, and I went for it. And Dan was like, "Yes, go for it." And then as soon as they accepted, he's like, "Damn it!" He's like, "Now I have to pay for it." So it's kind of that in between. But the amount of points that we bought was 150 for the second contract. So it came fully loaded with another year's of points. So the way that I saw it was, okay, we got a whole bunch like you did and like we did with the incentive that you can, keep using your bank and
Yeah.
it kind of keeps you in a nice place for a little bit. And we're going to stay at our first one bedroom. December will be my one bedroom trip. That's why we bought, just to continue the family trip. And I just booked my fourth one for the year. So, like you guys have just added the trips.
It's
Every other year
so
became 4 a year.
it's so easy to book last minute trips. Like, I know we've discussed this before about my crazy last minute trips, but it's because I have the points that it just makes it easy. When you have the annual pass and the points, so you're not paying for park tickets, you're not paying for the room, you're already paying for that. Either you paid it off or you have a monthly payment already. So it's not something that's in addition. So I think having DVC allows that flexibility for families. I think it's so worth it. And then we convinced Nicole.
take it
Hello.
away. So we bought resale just last year, right? The end of 2022, beginning of
Is now a
2023.
good time for me and Jen to go, one of us, one
We
of
like
us?
brought her to the dark side.
Go
So
on,
we
sorry.
bought resale. We went on our first trip with the kids, and I remember telling you guys, I was like, "We're staying at Art of Animation," and you're both like,
You're like,
"No."
You
oh,
gotta take it farther back.
cool.
You gotta take it farther back. The first time you stayed with DVC points was our very first girls trip.
You guys, and it
Yeah.
was at Boardwalk, and
Yes.
I
We
got
were
spoiled.
secretly like, just
It
wait
was
for
amazing.
Nicole. She's not a DVC member yet, but she's gonna go home and talk to Andrew and be like, I stayed at the boardwalk.
I
And
did.
Dan would tell Andrew all the time, like, you have no idea what you just
Yeah.
did. He's like, no,
Mhm.
Nicole needs this girls trip. He's like, no, you don't know what you did. It's
No,
over. When me and Jen are like, oh yeah, yeah, that's gonna
He was
happen.
like,
it's so
yeah.
true.
He's
It's
like,
so
so
true.
what
I
is
mean,
Nicole buying?
right, right. Like I went to Disney every year as a kid. I didn't always stay on Disney property because my grandma lived in Florida.
Yeah.
But when I did stay on Disney property, I remember just staying at the All Stars, and that's where we stayed as a family. So I grew up going to the All Stars. I never stayed at any of the like deluxe or moderates or anything like that. So I wasn't knowledgeable on any of that. I just knew my little values from growing up. So when I went, when we first got married, we stayed like All Star. It was just like a quick trip to Disney. Then we went and saw a hockey game in Tampa, flew home. Let's go Devils. I'm not a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. Anyway,
Slip that in there.
so then I went with you guys, stayed at Boardwalk. amazing. I couldn't describe to Andrew like walking to Epcot
It's the
and
greatest.
walking to Hollywood Studios. Like the
Wild.
benefits of that. It's just an amazing resort there. Then we planned our family trip with the kids for the first time. I booked Art of Animation. I just remember you guys being like,
We're like,
Nicole,
oh, oh, Nicole.
no,
We
no.
were
And I'm like,
trying to
it'll be
get you to
fine.
stay at Caribbean Beach so bad because we're like, at least it's close to Riviera. Like she can walk there and feel like she's there.
Well, you can walk
You
to
get
Riviera and pretend like you're staying there.
pretend.
Right.
So we stayed there, and I stayed in the Little Mermaid rooms. If you know, you know, they are tiny, tiny little rooms.
Don't know.
And at the time, Kylie wasn't even 2 yet. So Zach was 4, 5. I think just shy of 5. 4. I don't even know how my kids are. But it was so chaotic because it was so small. Like the stroller shoved in the corner, like there was no space. Like we went to sleep when the kids were sleeping because we couldn't watch TV, we couldn't do anything. It was just, yeah, it was a little crazy. So I was like, all right, next time maybe we'll we'll venture into a better resort. I don't even remember how it even happened. Was I talking to you guys about DVC or like I,
We have been
I think it,
trickling in talking about
yeah,
DVC to you.
I feel like we're
a
just like a
lot.
mob and we just start bringing people in.
Yeah. I know that
I
I told you where I was following resale because I know like I
right.
bought resale the same place you bought, right? And Jen bought at a different resale
Yeah.
place. But I was following that one because I was trying to let you know like you can do it and get more points than I did
Yeah.
for less.
You did.
Way cheaper. Right. And I think
Mhm.
that's what really sold us. So like seeing animation, like it was expensive. It's
Yeah.
not a cheap
It's not a
hotel.
real value.
And it's really not. Like you're paying for the Skyliner and
Yep.
basically staying there. Like we spent a pretty penny at a value, technically, resort. So doing that math and then showing my husband is like finance, needs numbers,
Oh,
spreadsheets,
yeah.
PowerPoints. Like he needs it all laid out for him.
That
So
man with the PowerPoint, I cannot, but go
I
on.
make him PowerPoints to like
I
put
love
my
the
point across.
PowerPoint
He
thing.
loves my presentations.
We're more
So
Excel.
I remember showing him like the contracts that were for sale on the DVC store website. So
Yeah.
I'm like, look at, we can get this many points at Old Key West for this amount of money. And he was like, what? Well, that makes a lot of sense. That's like 2, 3 trips.
Yeah.
You paid it off.
Done.
And then you just pay for dues
Going.
depending on how many points you have per year. That's not a big deal because if you go multiple times a year like we all do, it pays for itself.
Mhm.
So I think that's also the stigma against DVC. Like people think, oh,
You have
we're so
so much
rich.
money.
We're so rich because we spend so much money on this. But like, no, we really didn't. Like,
And
I mean, I
full
didn't.
transparency too, like full transparency. Me and Jen, we both financed
Yep.
our
Right.
contracts. I know, Nicole, you didn't. You also had a cheaper contract than we did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Way cheaper contract, but I bought resale.
Yeah.
So we paid it outright, but the interest rate was so ridiculously high through DVC store. I did one through my job, which was way cheaper, and I'm pretty much paying myself back.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
almost paid off, so it's great.
Yeah.
It's fine, but buying resale, yes, it's way cheaper, but I don't get the perks that you guys do. I
No.
can't get the sorcerer's pass, annual pass. I have to buy
The
the credit
full.
pass,
Yeah.
the full on pass.
There's
Like I
only
can't
one
go to the
path.
DVC lounge.
I
I
know.
can't go to what the villains, what is it, to the top of the
Top of
world.
the World Lounge. There's the
I
lounge
can
in
go to that.
Oh, I forgot about
So
that
I
one.
can't go
Yeah.
to any of
you
that
don't get
unless I'm
the
with you
discount.
guys because my card says like non DVC or like
Yeah.
not direct,
Mhm.
DVC.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it's fine because
There's
the annual
always
pass kind of
Points are
hurts.
what matters,
Kind of
though. Like,
hurts. But in the long run, I'm like, I saved a lot of money. I had 100 points for not the amount of points that Disney would, or not the amount of money that Disney would
exactly.
charge me for
mhm.
it. And the 100 points, I mean, we went on a trip in April. me and Andrew. That was 57 points. We stayed at Boardwalk for 4 days. Supposed to be a deluxe studio, but that's when they upgraded us to the 1 bedroom. Just by chance, just chatting with the like cast member at the
And you know
desk.
what they did? What they did for you was they painted a picture for Andrew
They
because
painted a picture.
yeah, like Andrew's like, oh, DVC, no, I would never. And then you put him in art of animation and he's like, oh my God, I hate this room.
Yes.
Yes,
You
let's
pulled
buy
him in
Right,
DVC.
with Pop
right,
Century.
right.
You didn't
So
have to
like our
show
first
them their options. Like you could stay
right,
here and pay this much, or you could stay here and pay this much.
right, right. And I think when we were looking at all the resale contracts, I did so much research. Me and Andrew did so much research about like what hotels were what amount of points for what weeks and what hotels could hold 4 or 5 sleepers, like what
Yeah.
hotels had the pull out couch or the 2 queens. Like we did so much research that it came down to like Old Key West because I knew the deluxe studio rooms were the
They're
biggest
huge.
rooms in
And
like
their
all
one
of the
Yeah,
bedrooms are gigantic.
Ooh,
yeah, they're so
They're
huge.
really
I'm
big.
right.
excited to stay at that one.
I used to stay there when I was a kid in those one bedrooms, and there's an island. Me and my sister used to run around the island. Like it's huge. Like you can put like air mattresses and they're not going to touch things. It's so big.
Yeah, and so that was like the huge part of Old Key West. We wanted the humongous room because we knew our 2 kids have so much energy. They need the space. We need the space.
Yep.
We also looked at the Animal Kingdom Lodge because that's just such a cool resort. Like I've never stayed there, I've never been there. But the downfall was I knew the rooms were smaller. They had the only that Murphy bed and like the pull out couch. And I'm like,
Super
yeah, that's a
small.
5 sleeper, but I'd rather have the room. I'd rather
Yeah.
have the bigger room for
Yeah.
the amount of points at my home resort. So that's why ultimately we went with Old Key West. When we stayed there for the first time and we walked in that room, we had a corner lower level room. So I know those are like a little bigger too
Yeah.
than the normal
I love
deluxe
that.
studios.
I had that too
Oh
when
my
I
God.
went.
I walked in and I'm like, holy moly. Like I was like, this is our room. And Andrew was like, wow, this was worth it. Like
Especially
it
coming from art of animation. Oh my
right,
gosh.
right.
Uh-huh.
So then that was a great trip. First trip with the kids on DVC. Me and Andrew's couples trip, stayed at Boardwalk, getting a deluxe studio, pool or garden view, whatever. Our room wasn't ready at 4 o'clock. So it was like 5:30. We went to the front desk. We were like, hey, room's not ready. Like we have reservations at Yachtsman Steakhouse like at 8. Like we need to shower. And so we were just chatting with her. She was super nice. I walked into the room and I'm like, is this our room? And Andrew's like, yeah. I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, Nicole, my magic band opened the door. And I'm like,
Yeah.
is this a 1 bedroom? And he was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is not a deluxe studio. Like I couldn't like hold in my excitement because I've
Yeah.
never been in a
Yeah.
1 bedroom. Like Andrew never stayed at Boardwalk. So walking into that, I was like, oh my God. So they're gigantic. So staying there for those 4 days, 3 nights, like Andrew was like, all right, Nicole, you can find me a 50-point Boardwalk contract
I'm
for
on the
under whatever amount of money he said. He was like, I'm in. I'm in. Like, I think he saw us like in his mind bringing the kids to the 1 bedroom and seeing how amazing it was and how we can afford it.
Yeah. You can
It's
too
not
afford a BBC contract.
right. Like we're not rich. Believe us, we
No,
are
I
not.
know.
We're
I've
not
been
rich
trying to
people.
We are
convince
also
everyone.
not sponsored.
No, we
We're
are
not
we all three
sponsored.
of us are we're all working moms. Our husbands, working dads. Like we
I
pay
have
for
3
daycare.
we have children that go to
We have
daycare and cost us money.
Mm-hmm.
right. Like
We don't
we're
have
not rich
like
by any means,
we're not
but
stay-at-home moms.
DVC it's just such a good value. We were pricing out vacations over the summer, trying to see if we could go to the beach for like a long weekend or like what we could do. And I'm like, I am not spending that ridiculous amount of money on a
Yeah.
hotel. And
Yep.
that's not even including getting there. That's not including food. That's not
Food.
including souvenirs. At least going to Disney, I know our room done.
Yep.
I have an annual pass. Free. Girl math. It's free. So it's free. I'm free. that
I can
it
attest to this
makes
because I just booked a trip based off that exact thing you just said. Dan was like, find us a nice little summer 4 or 5 day getaway where we could like go to a camping or glamping, and I'm like, cool, you know that it's May, right? And we live in the Midwest. That stuff was booked out like a year ago. I
yeah.
could not find anything, and I found one thing that was in Michigan, and it has like water stuff. They like pools, but they're not big water park kids. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is kind of ridiculous, and I was like, fine, we'll do it. It was gonna cost like $2,000 to stay in Michigan. I priced out flights because girl math. We're not paying for our tickets. We're not paying for our hotel. So fine, girl math. Let's buy some tickets. Let's go. And I am now a proud new owner of a new summer trip to Disney.
That's what we did. We had a whole episode on my surprise trip.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
true
that's true.
because it just makes sense. The
Thank
flights
you.
alone are cheaper than going on a vacation to the beach or camping or
Literally anywhere.
Yeah,
whatever. If you stay at values,
Yep.
go for it. If that's your
right.
price range, you can stay there. Staying at a deluxe resort, not DVC, I can't imagine paying those prices. I'm sorry. I
No.
cannot imagine paying $700 for a one night at Grand Floridian. Ugh.
At Grand Floridian. Do you know what they're asking for Coronado Springs right now? It's
It's
like
close
four
to
hundred
300.
dollars.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna say it's like
Yeah,
300, $400.
450. I'm doing my big trip that I do every year in December. And my best friend Nicole, she wants to bring her daughter. Her grandmother lives in Florida, so she's going to stay with her grandmother, and then her grandmother's going to drive her to Disney, and then she's going to stay in Disney.
Oh, that's so
I am
fun.
staying. I know, I'm so excited for her,
Very
and
fun.
it's a little girl, and I need this, right? So
Yes.
she told me I
You
can
can borrow
spoil
Kylie
her.
whenever you want. You can
Don't
have
don't
girlfriend.
tempt me. Don't tempt me. I'm gonna borrow Ellie. I'm gonna borrow Kylie.
Borrow
Don't
her.
tempt me.
Oh, she's in her princess era.
She's like, and Nicole's not a Disney person. She's not a theme park person, but she knows that her daughter is getting really into the princesses. And she's like, if I'm gonna do this, I want to go with you there. Like, I don't want you to help me plan the trip. I want you to do the trip for me, pretty much. So I was like, I got this. And I was trying to tell her, like, to maybe stay at, Caribbean Beach, because I'll be on boardwalk. So I'm like, all right, at least you'll be a skyliner away. And I'm like trying to figure it out for her. I tried to do rental points for her, but they're gone already because that's
Boardwalk.
how it works here. But she's like, I don't care. Just tell me how much it costs to stay where you're staying because I just want to be next to you because I don't have time for this stuff. She doesn't want to deal with it at all. She wants to wake up, be like, hey, I'm ready to go. You tell me what to do. She doesn't want to get lost. She doesn't want to be in a hotel she doesn't know. So I'm like, okay, I'll look into it. And it is literally like $780 to stay at Boardwalk.
So much.
That's sickening. Buy
Mm-hmm.
a contract. Just buy a
Yeah, that's
contract
where
at
we're
that
at.
point.
My contract
Like,
is cheaper, and you can go more.
And Dan was
right.
like, he was to the point where Dan's like, do we have enough points to get a 2 bedroom? And then she'll just pay us the difference of the points. Like when we stayed on Mine Points on our
Yeah.
first trip and you guys like,
Yeah.
help me out. So like, he's like, let's do that. But if I did that, I would be like in a deficit for my trip next year. And I was like, I don't want to be out points because of this,
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
so I was like, I can't really do that. And she was like, fine, I'll drop the $700. I'm like, I can't let you drop that money.
I
Like
can't in
I
good
can't.
conscience.
No.
At least wait
And
for
like
them to have one of those sales because they do have sales. That's what I used to do. When I used to stay at the boardwalk or the beach club before we bought in, I have never paid rack rate. You scroll all the way to the bottom of the Disney website where it
because
says
it's
special offers.
December.
It's in
Yeah,
very
the special offer is till November 17th, of course, because it's holiday season.
well, you just gotta wait.
After
There'll be
that,
another one. There'll be another one.
yeah, yeah. It's like, don't worry, I'll figure it out. Try to see like maybe I could buy some points and figure it out. And then it hit me. I'm like, why don't you check Swan and Dolphin?
They're
Uh,
always cheaper
they're
too.
so cheap.
It's not, it's Marriott.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so I said, okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna go on Swan and Dolphin and see what that costs. And then now she's like freaking out. She's like, no, I'll just pay to stay in Boardwalk. I want to be next to you. I literally had to show her Google
It's
Maps. I'm
literally
like,
next to it.
this is Swan and Dolphin. This is where I am. You're fine. You're good. I'll walk to you. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like,
Yeah.
if it's gonna
It's
be
walking
cheaper,
distance.
do that. But
Right.
even that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
It was like $500
Sometimes
to
it's
stay at Swan Dolphin.
Sometimes it's not bad because I've contemplated it before of like adding a night when I was there and there was no points available, and sometimes it's like $250. So it's very temperamental of how like that fluctuates.
Yeah.
The other thing with DVC is what the points are. They don't fluctuate. Like once
Yeah.
you're in that season, and it won't change ever. So whatever it is when that resort is made is what it stays at.
Right.
But I felt bad. Like, that was my point. Like, I felt bad that, like, she wanted to stay the same way I'm staying, and I couldn't get it for her. It really bothered me. I'm like, I want to help you, and I can't,
Yeah, I get it.
Right. Yeah, I get that. That's why I like Old Key West too. I mean, when we stayed there, like we fell in love with the resort too. Wasn't the internal buses were kind of a pain. I mean, depending where you stay, I guess we always had a seat on the bus at least, especially with the kids. But we loved it, and I love the point value of that too. And
Yeah.
at Boardwalk,
Yeah.
it was 57 points, but it was a more of, I guess, because it was springtime. It's more points there, but I could easily stay at Old Key West
Yeah.
twice, 3 times a year, depending how many times we wanted to go. I mean, I'm banking 3 points this year.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, are
crazy.
you?
Off of 75
I am.
for like
Yeah.
5 years, 6 years. So you can make it happen. But we're going to have a whole other episode on our favorite and least favorite DVC
Yes.
hotels.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So tell us the why.
Why we bought DVC? Well, I think Andrew knew I'm a full-blown Disney adult, child into adult into mom. So I think he knew we were going to be going. He thought we would be going every other year. Sorry, not true. He just knows now. We were talking the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, so when we go next year," I'm like, "When we go next year." Like,
You got the right lingo now.
it's funny because we both agree, like, we love Christmas time in Disney, and that's why we're going in November, because we want to take the kids to the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas party, because we did the Halloween party last year. So much fun, but we love going in November. So if I can convince him to go there for the Christmas season every year, it's just, I want my kids to have those memories like I have going to Disney. I remember rides that are not in Disney World anymore. They're in California.
Yeah.
Riding them as a kid. And I mean, Kylie takes my phone and she sings along to Small World. Like, she watches the videos. She just sings. She sings it. And Zachary remembers every little detail of everything about any day that he lives. And he's like, "Oh, remember the dinosaur bone ride? I'm gonna go on that again." I'm like, "What? What dinosaur bone ride? Like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "In Magic Kingdom." I'm like, "No, I don't remember." He's like, "Rain." I'm like, "Big Thunder Mountain has dinosaur bones?" And then I had to think, and I'm like, "Holy, they do!" Like, I want those memories. Like, I want him to have those memories, like with us, like going with you guys. Like, if we can all link up, like all 3 of us with like all of our families, we have those points. We have the space.
Guaranteed magical vacations.
Right, it's guaranteed. I mean,
Guaranteed magical memories.
Tears and meltdowns, but that is why we're here to talk you through it. Mouse ears, mommy tears, but
we're here for you.
Because we've been through it. We've been through it. I mean, now that we just talked about all this magical memories, let's talk about some not so magical memories. What is grinding everyone's ears this week? Nicole, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Disney, like, I don't have a problem with Disney. I have a problem. What grinds my ears is when people think they could do Disney without doing the research, without learning
Girl,
the
I
park.
know exactly who you're talking about now.
Like, without learning Genie Plus. I mean, I had no idea about Genie Plus my first trip when we went Art of Animation in 2022.
It's new.
I watched so many
very
YouTube
confusing
videos.
too.
Very confusing, like virtual queues, buying Genie Plus, booking every 2 hours, like setting alarms on your phone. It's a lot that you have to learn. When we went on our April trip, we were walking through Hollywood Studios. We were in Toy Story Land. Like, and one guy, we walked past him and he's like, "Oh, there's no line here. Let's go on this ride." It was friggin' Woody's Roundup Barbecue. I'm like, that's not a ride. Like, and I just
Clip
kind
it.
of looked at him, and Andrew was like, "You kind of said that loud." I'm like, "But that's not a ride. Like, do your research." Like,
But you know what the best part is? Is if he tries to go to that ride, he doesn't have a reservation, so it actually
He
is
can't.
full.
He
you're not
can't go
getting
anyway.
in. So it's like, I don't have a problem with Disney this week or anything Disney. I just wish, like, it's not as easy as it was when we were kids to go
Yeah.
to Disney and just like hop on a line and wait, or get your fast passes from the machine and have the
I
printout. Like,
know.
it's not like that anymore. Like, you have to have a strategy. You have to know what you want to do. You have your must-haves, your maybes, your no, I can skip that. You have to have some sort of plan. You can't just wing it anymore. To
Also,
learn.
I mean, devil's advocate here, back to DVC, we go so many times that for us, when you are planning, we can say things like, forget it, skip it, we'll go next year, you
Right.
Yeah.
know?
Right.
And there are
Those are your
people that
must
don't get to
haves.
go all the time, that they are like, they're overwhelmed with the amount of information and they're just like trying to get every possible thing in. And I can't blame them. I feel like that sucks
Yeah.
for us. And even Nathan knows it. Like, we get so many less tantrums now because they know they're going to go back,
Yep.
that we just say, like, we'll just do that next time. And it's to the point where Nathan's like, we'll do it next time. It's fine, you
Right.
know?
We're lucky in that sense because we can
Yeah.
do that. But it's like the
Plus, we have
people that,
DVC.
right,
Because
right.
of
And the,
DVC.
DVC.
but it's like the people that don't go often as us, and it's like trying to cram everything in. If you're gonna do that, at least watch DFB, Disney Food
Something.
Blog. Watch whoever can give you like a rundown of how to navigate Disney smartly to get whatever you want to do in.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I would hate for someone to like take their child or children or family and then miss half the day because they're standing in line that they don't need to stand. I don't know. That they don't need to stand in.
Because it's
I
not a
get
real
it.
line.
YouTube videos, guys. Or talk to any of
I
us.
mean,
We know a lot.
it's
We will give you
I
our
don't
advice.
understand how people don't, because I get so hyped, you know? When I like book a vacation, I'm like, I'm hyped. Tell me everything I need to know. I'm in Google Maps walking there. I'm walking there from Google Maps to my hotel because I want to know how to get there, how to get back, where I'm going, what's the best route. Like, how do you not get hyped? So I understand that. Like,
Right.
it's such a big deal.
Like, even our trip, like, that we're going on super soon. Like, we were just talking about having an itinerary of like what we
Itinerary,
need
yeah.
to do, and we're like seasoned Disney
Uh-huh.
DVC like
I make color
goers,
coded.
and we're
I make,
still
Well,
like,
there's so
okay,
much.
yeah.
we
There's
yeah,
so much going on right
You
now.
have
we
to.
know
Yeah.
our must do's, we know where we're eating, we're knowing where we're going, but we still need a list of like,
You need
okay,
a
Hollywood
at
Studios,
least
we're going on these rides. Like Animal Kingdom, we're going here.
And also what's important to every one of us.
yeah.
Oh,
All right.
who's next? Let's hear him.
Jen, you want to do yours? Yeah.
Sure. So I'm currently in the process of booking other things for other vacations that are coming up for Disney. And what's been bothering me this week is just remembering that they don't offer the Magical Express anymore. And it's so annoying because you now have to pay for the same service that you were getting, but they don't do your luggage anymore. And like,
No.
it
Right.
was the greatest thing ever where I could just get off the plane and walk to the bus and know that at some point in life my luggage would make it to my room. So I would take whatever I needed in my carry-on and that would come with me to the hotel. And now that I have kids and strollers and lots of luggage, we like to check our luggage. I don't like to bring things on the plane. I just bring personal items. I'm not putting anything overhead. We already lost luggage that way, so I'm not doing it again. So we check everything. And if they had that service again where they bring your luggage to your room, it would solve so many of my issues because it's so stressful with even I've never gone with 3 kids yet, but even just with 2 kids, wrangling them and the stroller, they don't want to sit in the stroller. And then you have to like do the luggage too. You don't have enough hands when you have children who want to climb you and you have to roll things. It's just I'm already stressed thinking about it. And even if I had to pay for it, I would pay for them to put my luggage in my room that's not even the point. Like, I wish that if I was paying for it, now it's the Mears, or I think there's another one, it looks like a train. I don't remember what that one is.
No, they bought it out.
They
They
bought
bought
it.
Sunshine Flyer.
Sunshine
So
Flyer.
now Mears bought Sunshine Flyer. So it's literally one company
It's
that
just
does it.
now. Okay. So
Yeah.
I wish it was still Disney related, where it was at least I'm paying Disney. You were always paying. You just didn't know you were paying for it because they included it.
Yeah.
So no matter what, it was already
Yeah.
there. Just add it back, please, because I want it for convenience and just for ease. And they did so much better with
Honestly, on the
order.
way back, they used to check your bag for you
Yeah,
Right.
on
I
the
know.
way back.
Yep, I could
Uh-huh.
check it.
That was an even bigger deal
Yeah,
because MCO gets insane
yep.
sometimes
It's
at their
so
front desk.
stressful. The to and
Such a
from,
big
it was
deal.
just, I don't know why they got rid of those services. I'm assuming staffing or whatever, but oh my goodness, I want those back so badly.
And also with like Mirrors and Magical Express, all of our things that we have, those elevators at MCO, they only have like 3 elevators that take you from baggage claim to the ground level. And it's like
Yeah.
you're either stuffed like sardines or you're waiting a couple elevators until you
Yeah.
get to go down.
I
Very
go to the one,
inconvenient.
Yeah.
spoiler tip, I go to the one all the way down to the other side because there's no one in that one. And then I go down and then I just walk.
Smart.
I mean, I have to walk
Smart.
out
You'll
of the
have
way,
to
but
show
it
me
takes
that.
better when we're moving than sitting and waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
Just wait. I just
Fancy kids.
open elevator. I don't go to the first one.
I'm with you on that one, 100%. Now that it's not ran by Disney anymore, it's completely unmagical, that area. They unmagicalized that area.
And
Okay.
they're not.
It's like a little paper with like that they printed from Word that says like Mirrors Connect. It's just white paper, black Arial size
Yeah.
35 font.
Yeah.
It's just
And even the designs on
Mirrors.
the bus isn't cute anymore. But I also, it was always run by Mears. It was always like somehow connected to
Yeah.
Mears. But I don't know what
Right.
happened from when it became from when it was Magical Express to just Mears Connect now with the efficiency of it, because it was always run where you're really not on the bus that long. You're not waiting for a bus that long. And now it's just a free for all. I swear they don't organize where you're going. I feel like when it was Magical Express, you had to buy that, you have to sign up for it when you're doing everything. So they know
Yeah.
when to expect people. So they know how many people to go on which bus and which hotel. Now you can be going all over Disney.
On
Yeah.
this.
It's not well organized or well run at all.
Yeah.
Very long, grind your gears. Really, really bothers my ears.
Mine is DVC related, and Nicole touched on it. It really grinds my ears that if you buy resale, you do not get the same perks as if you buy direct, when either way, your money is going to Disney.
Yeah.
Disney gets your money at the end of the day. You're staying at a Disney hotel, you're paying Disney their dues for the hotel, you're buying the park tickets, you're buying their food, you're staying at Disney, but yet it is separated. And in all honesty, buying through Disney for just the perks is not worth it.
Mm-mm.
Not worth it at all. I did meet with my new DVC guy, direct sales. Shout out Ryan. Calls me like 7 times a month. Uh, um, and I asked him what it would cost. They always have add-on like promotions.
Yeah.
So I asked
Not
them
worth
like
it.
what it would cost to no, not at all. What it would cost to like add on 50 points at Grand Floridian just so we can get the 7-month window kind of situation. And then I told them to also price out for me and to price out like a 150 point contract at Grand Floridian. One boardwalk direct is more money than Grand Floridian is because they're promoting Grand Floridian because they just built up those rooms and they did the like resort rooms. So a lot of promotions and incentives to buy in a Grand Floridian, but they don't want you to buy in a boardwalk. So it's actually more money,
Yeah.
which was just made no sense.
Uh-uh.
Me and Jen financed both our contracts. The financing through Disney was definitely top notch. My interest rate was much lower.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'll give them that, even though I'm fine with the one for my resale is fine. But like, it was just a much cheaper interest through Disney.
Yeah.
But to buy through Disney for that and for Moonlight Magics, how many have you been to, Jen? 0. because they announce them super random.
Yeah,
And if you're not living there, you're
can't go.
maybe planning a trip around it.
Well, I've
Or
tried. So like I had it where my trip was there like a day before, and then they announce it, and then I'm like, oh well, maybe I'll try and move my trip, but then there's no availability anymore because it's already gone. So like if they're gonna do these things, I appreciate them doing these things, but I can't go to them because they're not telling you about them with enough notice that you're gonna book it. Like it doesn't
and then it's
coincide.
still a gamble
Yeah,
because from what I hear, it's not easy. So I bought direct for all these perks, and pretty much the only one I've ever used was my son got to chill with Gaston last Christmas
I haven't done.
because it was like a DVC thing which we stumbled upon. They didn't
I
even
don't
like
really
fully advertise it
know.
well.
I've
Yeah.
only done it
And
for
then
the
the only
past.
other thing is the annual pass.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only incentive I really use because even with the discount on merch and discount on dining, the annual pass covers that too. It's the same discount and it's for the same places pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's not really a DVC perk. And they always say you're not buying in for the perks, you're not doing it for the perks, which is fine. But if that's what you're like incentivizing for a direct versus a resale, then you should have
I
good
mean, when
perks.
you're looking at the
If I did it
button,
all over, I don't know that we would have bought direct initially. I mean, I didn't really understand what resale was when we bought into it. But I will say when I bought in, there were a lot more perks. And when I bought in, resale still was allowed to have it. And they like grandfathered them in. So there
They
was a
grandfather
cutoff
people
point
in.
yes.
where resale no longer can have it and other people were grandfathered in. So at some point they were able to do things. But I mean, there's a DVC lounge in Epcot. I do use that often. I barely go to the Top of the World Lounge. I think I've been there maybe once, maybe twice.
They've made it harder to be able to go.
It's really hard.
And that's they started using the space for paid things.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm sorry. I thought I'd be able to go here because I'm direct DVC, but then it's like certain times of the year you can only go here if you buy this $100 villains package or whatever they got going on now. It's like,
But
so then what is the point of this? What is my benefit really? You know,
and
I'll tell you the thousands of dollars I saved by going resale over direct.
mhm.
Yeah, keep your villains lounge, bro. I'm fine, you know?
But even
Right.
when
I
you
think
get up there, it's not like it's like quick service where you have to figure out if there's a spot available for you. And if you go to watch the fireworks, people camp out from when it opens to like the fireworks time and they just sit there and order food and drinks and you can have no chair. And if you go in with a large group where it's just you and your family of five, there might be one or two bar stools, but you're not going to bring your kids there, and it's really not. It's not the most convenient to get to. You have to go all the way to Bay Lake for it. I just don't think it's worth it at this point. I'm happy to have it. I'm not going to sell my direct contract and give it up, but that's mostly for the annual pass.
right. I think that I miss.
Yeah,
That's the one that
Yeah.
really hurts because I have to pay the full price for an annual pass when I do technically pay like the DVC dues and whatnot. That's really the only perk that I would want.
yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with
But
it.
even that perk used to be better. It was cheaper
It was.
with an AP a while ago. And it's used to be better. Like all the other perks. And if they're going to keep selling direct, you can't live on the fact that, oh, well, it's direct, you get a blue card, because I don't even get a blue card anymore.
It's on your
They won't
phone.
let me use my actual blue card.
Yeah,
Like
and all,
now everything is digital.
yeah,
You don't know if I'm direct or if I'm not when I'm in the same room next to you. If
yeah.
I'm in a room right next to Nicole, you don't know who's direct and who's not. Because guess what? She's staying at the exact same lap of luxury that I am, and I'm direct. It's like
Points.
stupid.
The same points, the
You
same
still do the
hotel, same
same
everything.
booking. Like it's the same
Yep.
website.
Yeah.
Everything is the same. It's dumb.
And that is what grinds my ears.
We can talk about DVC all
I'm
day.
going to have a
That's why
doozy.
it's a three-part series.
And this is why this is a 3-part series. Yes, I will end this episode here because I got lots of editing to do with how long this is going. But today, with Nathan and the video games, at one point, after 8 hours of playing, like I said earlier, I asked him to get off and I said, "Hey, dinner's ready." And he comes upstairs and he goes, "It's not ready if it's not on the table." And I was like, "Oh, okay. All right, that's where we are today." So instead of using this, I sprinkled a little pixie dust on that. And then Dan had to come in and be like, "Don't talk to your mother like that. And this is why you don't play video games for 8 hours." I'm like, it was ready. It was in the pot. I was telling him to come up because it wasn't in front of his face, for your highness. So I sprinkled so much pixie dust on top of that Parmesan on his ravioli, and I just kept moving. And on that note, girls, it's been lovely, and have a good night.
Bye. See you in
Bye.
Disney.
Bye. Bye.